Meet a mosaic artist who turns broken bits of tile into a spiral of beauty. A wood carver who suspends his creations in midair. And see a blacksmith hammer a heart of steel. Watch them all on Modern Masters. Broken bits and pieces meet in unexpected intersections in the mosaics of Texas artist Sonia King.
When I was a kid, I collected stones. I was a rock hound. And when I start taking pieces of pyrite and marble and things coming together, there's something in it that sort of speaks to me.
Sonia looks at broken bits of windshield glass and sees a cold land of glaciers and ice. And she takes glittering fool's gold and turns it into a swirling sunburst. For Sonia, tiny bits of stone, ceramics, and glass are an opportunity for expression, a chance to reveal how fragments brought together form complete pictures.
Do those work together?
I like that. Maybe another green would be nice.
Which one?
That looks good. Let's try that.
It was her mother, Sonia King, who first put the idea of fractured beauty in Sonia's head.
I like that much better.
When I was a kid, my mom did mosaics in the 60s. And I can remember the colors, and I think that's one reason why I like to be surrounded by the colors, is she had all these great jars of really pretty colors, and it looked like candy.
So you're going to bring some marble in?
Yeah, I'm going to use one.
Today, she often invites Mom to help her choose from her candy store of colors.
That's a good combination.
But it was a long road from childhood memories to making mosaics as fine art. Sonia studied environmental design at art school and spent about 15 years in the business world working with multimedia and computer graphics. But she kept encountering mosaics during her travels around the world, an art form with an impressive 5,000-year history.
The first mosaics were in Mesopotamia. The Sumerians fired little clay cones that had glaze on the bottom of the cones, and they pushed them into columns, into mud columns, and made mosaics in about 3000 BC.
About 8 years ago, this Dallas artist decided to make a mosaic and hasn't stopped since.
So it was involving on a lot of different levels, and I was just caught up in it.
This morning, she's caught up in the feel of glossy glass tiles. Each tessera or piece will become part of an inlaid floor mosaic.
This is going to be the center. The design is a giant paisley comet shape of color.
The center of the comet will be a coral-colored circle. It has some tight turns at first, so she makes a few cuts to fit the curves. She glues the pieces upside down on craft paper, which will later be taken to the home and flipped over.
It's a little bit of a mind twist because I only see the back of the tiles now, and I'm not going to see the front until it's installed and the paper's peeled off.
She uses several shades of coral to create subtle movement and depth.
Every little piece of tile, every little tessera that's a piece of a mosaic, stays its own individual color, but your eye assimilates all those little pieces and does a blend with them, so it's kind of a little mental trick that your eye plays on you.
She'll enclose the coral in a band of purple, at first feathering in just a few purple tiles to create a subtle blend. As the circle grows, she's careful to stagger the spacing. When the grout goes in, she does not want any straight lines that will ruin the flow of the piece. Gluing thousands of tiny tiles may seem daunting, but Sonia slowly winds her way into a groove. Next, Sonia moves to a different segment of the mosaic, the leaves, which will appear around the edges. She's chosen green ceramic tiles with a matte finish to contrast with the shiny glass tiles.
So these leaves will not only have a different feel from their shape and from the color, but they'll also be dull, so the light will react differently with them and it'll kind of give a very different feel to it.
Sonia does not use a pattern, but relies on her harmony with the materials, making small leaves flow together to create a larger leaf.
It'll be a nice juxtaposition to the real square regularity of the glass tiles that'll have that really strong ondimento, that strong coursing around, and this is really going to soften and be in contrast to that.
It takes a couple of months for the comet to come together.
The idea was to come up with something that would pull you down those stairs and out into the room.
There are about 10,000 individual pieces in the finished mosaic.
I had a show recently, and a friend came to the show and was standing there at the opening, and I was feeling very kind of like, what a great thing. I had a gallery full of all my work, and I was thrilled to death. And she said, just think, you stuck every one of those little pieces on. And I was like, oh God, I'm kind of tired now. Thank you, I need to sit down. And then I thought, I stuck every one of those little pieces on.
In Sonia King's mosaics, the relationships between the pieces change with every glance and every shift of light. Tiny bits that might be overlooked on their own, but together create an unforgettable picture. When Modern Masters returns, fish that fly.
I started thinking of a huge mobile where there would be literally lots of fish hanging around the canoe.
And later, a hard heart melted by fire. It's all ahead.